Alright, something a little bit different. Going to be ranking all the Arsenal players this season so far off performances in the Premier League only. Guess we'll start off, just get into it. David Raya. For me, this season he's been a 9. In a lot of situations in the league, we've been dug out by him. You know, there's a few saves this season he's made that one, I think it's 2, that one save in a month. He's generally been brilliant. His distribution's been fantastic. And in the game we saw Neto, and in the cup games we've seen Tommy Stretford and stuff, it's not looked as convincing. Obviously, Tommy's like, 18? So, again, time to grow him. It's not a criticism of him. It's just more a comparison to Raya, how outrageously good he is. The game we saw Neto in, again, not really match fit, hadn't played in a while, but he was honking. I did say I'd only talk about the Premier League, but that's the only game we've really seen him in, and yeah, really big drop off in comparison. So David Raya is absolutely the first name on the team sheet, in my opinion, for this team. He's got 8 clean sheets this season in the league. He's conceded 22 times in 24 appearances, which isn't awful. I will say as well, a lot of those goals haven't been his fault. It's the Premier League. Yeah, you know, you're facing up against the best of the best. And in a lot of cases, he outshines the opposition, and his distribution alongside his ability to actually stop the ball crossing that line. Yeah, I mean, I think he's top 3 goalkeepers in the division personally. So yeah, that's a 9 for him. No other goalkeepers played for us in the Prem so far, so as for that, it's just the goalkeepers, and it's David Raya on a 9. Next up, we got Willow Saliba. Saliba this season has, in the league, been brilliant. Besides the game against Bournemouth, where he got a red, I remember that, and getting peed off, but I think that was kind of a 50-50. I think it's Brighton as well. The little headbutt to give away the penalty. Again, I think a bit of a 50-50. So has he been on the receiving end of some pretty honking officiating decisions? In my opinion, yes. Now, I know you're going to say I'm biased. I am, but I think it's harsh. He's been a solid 8 out of 10 this season. A lot of people say he's the A centre-back in our defensive duo. He probably is. But I think this season we've seen a little bit more from him in terms of that leadership, in terms of that like commanding figure. Gabriel obviously is that realistically in our back four, but he's really stepped up in that capacity, and I think it's brilliant. He's been fantastic this season. Yeah, he's been ripped up a few times, but all the best defenders have that. And in terms of purely in the league this season, he's been superb. So yeah, 8 out of 10 for him. Kieran Tierney, he's had 2 appearances this season. Obviously been injured for the vast majority of it. He's made appearances mainly at left wing for us, so probably going to do so more now, especially with the injury crisis that's just hit. Kai Havertz came out the last 2 days that he's probably out for the rest of the season. So yeah, we might need him as an auxiliary winger, which, you know, who'd have thought it. He's been completely fine this season. Again, 2 games, both substitute appearances, isn't much to write home about. So I'm just going to give him a 5, purely off. That isn't really enough to go off after about 40 minutes of Premier League football. I feel like it's harsh to judge him anything higher or lower than completely base minimum average. Benjamin White, sorry. 9 appearances this season, 1 assist, and 3 clean sheets. He's been very, very underrated, I think, since coming to us. Playing centre-half for a little bit, now right back. Absolutely brilliant player. Now, obviously, he's been injured, and apparently this was quite a long-term, small niggling injury that became a bigger issue, and he's had to have surgery, and he's back, I believe, now, training in Dubai. So, you'd love to see it. He is a very, very good right back, very consistent, barely ever gets skinned, and technically he's very good. Now, I will have to flag the fact he's only got 9 appearances this season. As a lot of people say, availability is the best ability, and when it comes to our defenders this season, not a lot of them have been available, especially someone like him who would really take pressure off Timber, who is basically playing every single available minute to him. It would be nice, but when he has played, he's been very, very good. Give 6.5 out of 10. That is purely off the availability, and I know that's hard. I know that's not something he can really control. And I think as someone that manages his body, he manages it pretty well. But yeah, a 6.5 for Ben White. That'll probably go up if he plays the remainder of the season from here, because he's so important to us and offers us that much more, especially going forward. He's also just overall a very, very good fullback. Kind of in that Gary Neville mold, which is a little bit kind of more difficult for people to praise because they don't see it necessarily. It's slightly more under the radar. He's not particularly a loud person, you know, so all these things really factor in it. But yeah, 6.5, please, for Ben White. Gabriel Magalhaes, that's a 9 for me. He has been our best defender this season by a long way, in my opinion. His aerial ability, obviously, he's chipped in with 3 goals this season. And it's not all about the goals, but also his defensive ability. He really shuts down centre forwards. I don't think I've seen him this season in the Premier League have a bad game. I've come back afterwards and thought, wow, Gabby was bad that game. There probably have been 1 or 2 where he's looked a little bit shaky. But in all the big games, he really gets himself up for it. I mean, even when we lost to Newcastle the other day 2-0, Gabby I still thought looked good. He played well. I thought he's been brilliant this season, especially when we've missed really key players. He's stepped up. He's able to give what a lot of others don't. He's got that backbone. He's got that physical ability. When we were playing Villa a few weeks ago, the Ollie Watkins, kind of him and Ollie Watkins really kind of roughing it out. And to be honest, most of the time Gabby came out on top. The same with Haaland, both games this season. He's, you know, even though in the draw, I still think Gabby really came out on top of that game. So yeah, I think just as a robust leading figure, as an out-and-out defender, he's fantastic. Also just really intelligent, I think. His positioning and his, you know, passing, and often you'll see him kind of like pointing out, like, guys, yeah, let's shift it here, let's do this, and, you know, kind of really communicating, which is something you know, is crucial on the pitch, obviously. Next, we got Jurrien Timber. Timber out of action for most of last season, comes back in this season and has done brilliantly well, in my opinion. His technical ability out of all of our defenders is probably the best. As a forward option, going, you know, in the more advanced areas, he's super comfortable. His passing ability to interchange with Martin Odegaard, with Saka when he's fit, is brilliant. So yeah, I really appreciate his technical ability. He's got 1 goal and 1 assist this season, 5 clean sheets and 21 appearances. So he's incredibly important to the way we want to play. Arteta likes these technical fullbacks who can really get in there and affect the game. And I was thinking it was a game against Palace at home. He was exactly that. He was almost playing in that kind of like 10 role, wide 10 role, for a lot of that game, and he just dictates. He plays well, his movement, his passing. The one thing I will say a little bit, as a slight pitfall, his ability on the ball is brilliant, and he steps on the ball a little bit too much, in my opinion. And the main thing that really frustrates me about him, throw-ins, man. He'll take sometimes just extra few seconds to take the throw-in. I don't know why it pees me off so much. It probably shouldn't. It's a bit of a kind of pet peeve, but it's one of those things. It's kind of, you know, frustrating. Overall, however, Jurrien Timber is superb. Again, technical ability, brilliant. Versatility, brilliant. You know, there is no real major pitfalls to his game. He can be a little bit rash, but again, you need that. I prefer that. Players like him, players like Gabby, you know, back in the day, I say back in the day, like a few years ago, players like Granit Xhaka, these players that have the heart on their sleeve, want to play, and you know they care. I would rather that than someone that's kind of slightly more passive and quiet and under the radar. So Jurrien Timber, 7.5 for me personally. I think he's been very, very good this season. Now, Jakub Kiwior. So Kiwior is one of those that will divide a lot of opinions. And if you look at the defenders we've ranked so far, they are really the starters, the kind of meat and the bread. Kiwior is a backup. I think Kiwior is a good backup. It's nice also to have a left-footed player that's kind of, you know, in reserve. Although saying that, actually, a lot of our defenders these days are left-footed. When he's came in, he's looked decent, I think. The game against Bournemouth, a lot of people gave him a bit of stick for. I think he's been good. You're comparing him to Saliba and Gabby, who are arguably the 2 best centre-backs in the world. Like, arguably the best centre-half pairing in the world right now. So I think it's harsh to really criticise him too harshly. I think he's probably a 5.5. He's been slightly better than average. I think he's a good player. There's definitely a brilliant player in there. And I think he's slightly unfortunate to be playing with players that are so damn good. Again, he kind of comes in when we need him, really, and so he's not got that match sharpness, that match fitness, all that kind of good stuff. So, yeah, I think he's a great player. Aerially, he's not amazing. On the ball, I like him. Defensively, on the ground, I really like him. I think he's a great player. Good player, sorry. I wouldn't go as far as saying great. I give him a 5.5. Again, I like Jakub Kiwior. I don't feel unsafe when he's on the pitch, which for days gone by of Arsenal, he would have been, a stalwart, I think. Again, he's just slightly unlucky to be playing in this current outfit with us being so strong defensively. Next, you got my compatriot, Takehiro Tomiyasu. So, really frustrating. He's a brilliant player. I watched him for the national team for years. I watched him play at Arsenal, and he's great. He's a great player. Robust, strong, athletic. Again, genuinely, when it comes to defenders, he has no weaknesses, in my opinion, except his calves. He's out at the moment. I think it's with an ankle injury or something thereabouts. He's potentially getting another operation on it. He's played 6 minutes for us in the league this season. That was against Southampton. I really thought, yeah, nice. We got our boy back. It's nice. And he's just gone out again. And it's frustrating because, again, the best ability is availability. I'm going to have to give him a 5, but his body breaking down really isn't encouraging. And I do wonder, just as a further point, this isn't exactly directed at Tommy. It's more about football in general and our players. They're breaking down. I definitely think it is Arteta's training regime and system, and that's okay. At the end of the day, we want to play a certain style. We want to play a certain way, and it's very intense. Now, a lot of our fullbacks, especially, have been breaking down, and it's muscular stuff. With more of our forwards and midfielders, it is kind of just, general football injuries. But a lot of our defenders, it's a little bit concerning, I think. And I guess that's why we have so many of them. But yeah, hopefully a speedy recovery from Tommy. And I'm going to move on to Oleg Zinchenko. So, Zinchenko, for me, a really good player. It might sound a bit crazy. I think he's the closest thing we have to Martin Odegaard when he's not playing in terms of that technical ability, that raw ability on the ball. Hasn't played a lot. And when he has played, I think he's looked all right. It was always the myth, or, not myth, the argument with him that he's so bad defensively, is he worth playing? And I think in the current way the Premier League is, he's actually very worth playing. Now, is he better than maybe your Timbers at left back? Maybe not. Is he better than your Tommy when he's fit at left back? Maybe not. Is he better than Calafiori at left back? No. Is he better than Miles Lewis-Skelly at left back? No. So is he our worst left back? Kind of. But for clarification, I think there are certain games where he suits, that 1,000 passes, death by 1,000 passes, when we can really kind of close in an opposition and really hammer them with just possession. His vision is brilliant. His passing ability is brilliant. He can cross the ball well. And in terms of, mental ability, he's one of the most intelligent players on the ball, I think, at our club. It's just his defensive ability is poor. And he gets covered up. If someone's running at him, I have zero confidence he's going to take the ball off them. His positioning's decent, so I can trust him to intercept the ball, but I cannot trust him to actually stop the ball from going. So I'm going to give him a 6. I think he's good. I think he's a good player. His ceiling is kind of here or hereabouts. And to be honest, do I see him getting a move away in the summer? Yes. Just because he's not probably playing enough that he'd hope. He'd probably hope to be playing more. Is there a play in there? Undoubtedly. Is he a good player? Absolutely. You don't play for the teams he's played for if you're not a good player. Have we moved past him? I think, sadly, we have now. So, yeah, a 6 for Oleg Zinchenko. Again, a player I have a lot of respect for. Maybe not politically, but in terms of on the pitch, he's, a great player. And I do appreciate the effort he puts in, if nothing else. Again, though, his technical ability is one of the best at the club, and it would be nice to see him a little bit more, because I know he's struggled a little bit with injury, but I think it's time to move on to the Italian stallion, Riccardo Calafiori. He's been fantastic. 13 games, 2 goals, 1 assist. That game at Molineux, he changed. Obviously, he scored the goal. And actually, just looking now, he has 0 clean sheets, which can't be true because that game at Molineux, we had a clean sheet. So I'm not sure what this system is running off, but whatever. Yeah, 13 appearances, 2 goals, and an assist. He is tenacious. Very, very athletic. I wouldn't necessarily put him as a footballer necessarily, but his athletic ability is brilliant. I think he's fantastic, and I've really enjoyed seeing him play this season. Is he a bit rash? Is he a bit reckless? Yes. Is it kind of in that Timber mold, like I said earlier? I really like the heart on the sleeve. I really like that kind of in-your-face attitude. I feel like that's something that we've missed a bit in football in the current kind of way it's being played. There's less characters. He certainly is one. And yeah, brilliant. Aerially, fantastic. On the ground, brilliant. Loves a slide. And I don't know if it's Italian tax. I don't know if it's the fact he's got longer hair. But, you know, he looks the part. I know a lot of people always say this, oh, Calafiori, people only talk about what he looks like. Yeah, sure, whatever. I think he has been a good addition to us, besides the injuries. But again, most of our fullbacks have been getting injured this season, so it kind of just is what it is. When he stepped in, he's been great. I think from the first game we saw him in preseason, we kind of could tell what kind of player he'd be, and he's great. I hope to see more from him. It's also nice he can fill in the back four if need be. I wouldn't personally, unless it's a desperate situation, just because I think that left back position really allows him to be honest, make mistakes. He's a little bit lax at times. He's a little bit kind of crazy on the ball at times. And I do appreciate that from left backs. Obviously, you've got that cushion. Centre half doesn't have that as much. So unless we're playing in a 3, he's probably going to get found out a little bit. But yeah, Calafiori, I'm probably going to give him a 7 for this season so far. I know there's been a lot of high ratings this season, but that is because we are second in the division. And I truly believe that our players, the crop of, are top quality. Now, next, we're going to go to number 5. He's played a lot this season. 3 goals, 2 assists. He's been fine. I'm going to give him a 7, move on. Martin Odegaard, the captain, 16 appearances, 2 goals, 3 assists. He is the metronome in our midfield. He's that player like we had Cesc for a while, Santi, kind of Mesut at times. He really dictates, you know, we play through him. Everything is through him. So yes, his numbers might not be as brilliant as they could be. He's still a fantastic player. And in my opinion, he is our best player across the entire team. This season, he's shown that. His leadership, again, he's not necessarily the Roy Keane or Patrick Vieira type of leader. He's a leader by example. He is superb. He's brilliant. His passing ability, second to none, in my opinion. And yeah. So, in terms of keeping us ticking, he's the guy. I think my main frustration with him this season has kind of been that lack of consistency with the people around him. And that's obviously not his fault. But his interchangeable play, I think certainly with Nwaneri, isn't necessarily where it could be. Now, they haven't played a lot together yet, so there's a lot of time, hopefully, him to adapt, to move on, to get better. And yeah, he's superb. He's just, you know, I don't have enough compliments for him. Now, the injury does come into a little bit of effect, but again, it's not really his fault, and he's played enough without the injury for me to give him a 7.5. He's been superb. I know in a few games he's gone a little bit missing. The game at Molineux, sure. The game at St. James's went missing a little bit. And there's a few of them where he could have done more. But when he's on the ball, he looks brilliant. He drops back a bit this season because our passing range this season's been a little bit more, maybe tepid is the word. So when he can really drop in that kind of halfback role, drive us forward, play these passes, this intricate kind of movement that he does, he's great. And in the final third as well, picking these passes, you know, some of them are absurd. He's got that vision, he's got that ability that you know, defenders are kind of scared to get on his toes because they know he's just going to play it around them, dribble past them, and yeah. In terms of technical ability, again, through the roof. He's brilliant, and yeah, 7.5. Jorginho, 10 appearances, most have been off the bench. I really like Jorginho. It's a shame we got him when he was so old because he's so clearly an Arteta player. He's absurd. His vision, his tactical ability. What I mean by tactical ability, I suppose, is his ability to read the game. His passing is great. I actually kind of trust him to shoot from range, which is something I can't really say for a lot of the players in this team. Yeah, he's a general in there. It will tell people, yeah, a bit like I was saying earlier with Gabby, the instructions, the passing ability, and I think he makes other players around him more confident, which again, you can't put money on. He's slightly older. Yeah, it's a frustration. Now, this is going to sound strange. The main thing I like Georgie for is his ability to commit tactical fouls. He knows when he can intercept the ball, and he's brilliant at that. His tackling ability, actually, as well, for someone that's not the biggest in terms of, like, I guess, laterally, he really gets himself around. And yeah, that kind of more tenacious side. Again, a bit like Calafiori. He's able to do that side of the game, but he's also got the head to kind of know when to cool off and chill out. And that experience is valuable, and it must be in and around the squad as well. Something they value a lot. So yeah, Jorginho, I'm probably going to give it a 6 this season, just because he hasn't played enough. That's the main reason that's holding him back. Declan Rice. So 22 appearances, a goal, and 5 assists. He has been very strong this season. Driving the ball forward, I don't like him as much in the 6. I think he's limited in the 6. In a double pivot, would he work? Yeah, but I think in that left-sided 8, he's strong. His ability to drive with the ball, he's surprisingly good at dribbling. And obviously, goes without saying, but his set pieces are exceptional. So yeah, Declan, probably 7.5 this season. He's chipped in important moments. In terms of raising the team as well, especially the games where we're down and out, he runs like a workhorse. Like, he works his ass off, man. And, hats off, because he has been crucial for us this season. When it comes to these gritty games we need to fight, no one's more up for it than him. And carrying us through games, you can see why he was captaining West Ham at such a young age. This guy's a natural-born leader in that midfield. And, yeah, just a really tenacious player. Strong, physical, but also there when it comes to just playing. He's got it all. Maybe not pace, but in terms of power when he's driving, he's, one of those players that weirdly kind of doesn't need pace just because he runs so powerfully. So yeah, Declan Rice, 7.5. Miles Lewis Skelly. Right, the man who's been in the media a lot recently. Apparently he's going to get called up to England. So fair play to him. 10 appearances, 1 goal. Yeah, big personality. Technically, he's there. Technically, he's at the level. And physically, too, he's at the level. For an 18-year-old, he's got a lot. I notice as well, he aerially is pretty damn good. So, yeah, like that. His intelligence on the pitch as well is clearly there at a level that, for an 18-year-old, is very impressive. He does play that kind of left-back modern role superbly, I think. His ability to cut in and kind of play how Zinchenko was playing those few seasons ago, he can do that well. Also overlapping and kind of playing almost as like a traditional fullback and then at times as a winger. He can literally do all 3 of the archetypes for the modern fullback to a very high level. He's made 10 appearances this season already. And despite the fact he's kind of a midfielder, at left back, he's been superb. Really, really, really rate this guy. And I think when it comes down to it, this guy will probably and hopefully, touch wood, be our left back for seasons to come. Yeah, just, I don't have enough positive words to say about him at this age. He's brilliant. And the same goes for the next man across, Ethan Nwaneri. He's kind of our next big thing. Those two are our next 2 big things. 14 appearances, 3 goals, 0 assists. He's been a revelation for us, especially now where it comes into that we've got all those injuries. Yeah, I think he's going to be a guy for us. Um, those goals as well, the technique on his goals is absurd. I'm Welsh, obviously, but I'm Welsh, and I don't want to hyperbolize too much. But he really does remind me of somewhere in between Gareth Bale and Harry Wilson. I know a lot of people are going to make fun of Harry Wilson, but if you know his goal catalogs, how he kind of jinks onto that left foot and then kind of wraps it, Ethan's somewhere between the two. And I think his ceiling's only up. I'm hoping he doesn't have a growth spurt, and I know it's a weird thing to say, but his centre of gravity right now is so brilliant that if he was to have a growth spurt, I think it would knock it off a little bit. So hopefully he doesn't. Technically, he's almost on an Erdegaard level. He's brilliant. Skill-wise, you can tell he's still kind of got that youth football skill in him, and I hope he doesn't lose that anytime soon. I hope that's not coached out of him, because it is nice to see. Does he go down some alleyways sometimes where you're like, Jesus Christ, Ethan, please just pass it? Because he does lose the ball and he's trying to kind of, jink around, and I appreciate the confidence, though. I really do. So yeah, Ethan Nwaneri. I think probably 7 out of 10. Did I give Skelly a rating? He's also 7. They've both been real breakouts this season, and there's not really been a drop-off from them from the kind of more seasoned first-team players either, in a lot of ways. So I think that's the biggest credit you can give them. The sky's the limit, and yeah, hope to see more from them. Mikel Merino. So, a bit of a controversial player, Merino. A lot of the fans don't like him. I think he's good. I think he's great. I give him a 6.5 just off the bat. 16 appearances, 2 goals and an assist. He's robust. He's kind of like a Declan Rice light. And I do think he should be playing that role slightly further back that Five's playing in at the moment. I know it kind of goes without thought that he should be playing on the left of the 3, but I kind of think he should be playing in the 6. His passing ability, I really like it. His ability to win the ball back, intercept, tackle. I think he's built for the 6 in a double pivot, personally. Can he play single pivot? Probably. I enjoy watching him play. I think he's good. I know a lot of people complain about him, kind of like, oh, he's not good enough. And to be honest, I'm not sure personally what they're seeing. I think his ability when it comes to passing, when it comes to moving, when it comes to intercepting, and yeah, going forward, he's not great. But I also kind of think that's not his role. I wouldn't personally play him as a forward play. He's not a Granit Xhaka. And no profile looking at him wise, people are like, oh yeah, no, that's probably the role he would have been playing. Like, no, that's, in my opinion, not him. I like him. I do. Bukayo Saka, 16 appearances, 5 goals, 10 assists. Yeah. I mean, he's grown in the last 2 seasons into a proper player. He's undeniable. I mean, 15 goal contributions in 16 games. He's a joke. In my opinion, he's the second best winger in the league. He's superb. He's superb. There's not really much you can say about him because obviously he's been out for a little bit and we have missed him pretty severely. Just his ability to dribble this season as well, his shooting's got a lot better. And in terms of interplay with other players that aren't just Ben White and aren't just Odegaard, he's also stepped up in that capacity. I don't watch a lot of England, but I have noticed when I do watch them, again, he's got that ability to just play wherever, do whatever. And no matter what you do, he's skinning that left back. He's getting balls in, he's cutting it back, he's crossing it to the far post, and his set pieces are great as well. So in terms of missing anything from his game, maybe aerial, but it's minor. I think his directness, he hasn't lost. His dribbling ability has changed, and his ability to shoot has got better this season. I think Saka has to be an 8.5. Now, yeah, he's been out. Yes, we've missed him. Again, that's not really his fault. So, yeah, Bukayo Saka, 8.5. Next up, we got Kai Havertz. 21 appearances, 9 goals, 3 assists. Just picked up a season-long injury. Get well soon, and yeah. Now, let's get into it. So, Kai, for me, he's brilliant. And I can see why people don't like him. I can see it. His finishing isn't good enough. I know. But his dog work is superb. You can play into him, play off him, play around him. hoof balls to him, and he's winning a lot of them. Now, what pees me off about Kai is he goes down way too easily. That's the main thing. That and his finishing are the two real pet peeves I have with him. But besides that, Kai Havertz is by far our best striker. I'm not going to get into the whole thing of, we should have got a new striker, we should have replaced him. That's not what I'm talking about. That's not what I'm here for. I think this season he's been very strong, very good. And yeah, as a striker you can play off, yeah, great. I've enjoyed him. Works hard, presses hard, wins the ball back a lot, and I can trust him kind of with those balls in behind to hold up and then wait for other players to come in. You can play off him, and you can kind of see, I guess, why some people think he's a midfielder at times. But yeah, he's a top player. Not a top striker, but a top footballer. And yeah, I'd like to see him a bit more, kind of not making those last gap runs. I call them the Aaron Ramsey run. The play that runs in kind of at the edge of the box on the penalty area, they can kind of cut back to the late runs. I'd wish he'd kind of hold that front post or back post a bit more. But yeah, I think he's been good. I think he's been good for us this season. It's a 7. The only thing that's really holding him back again is that finishing, really, that's stopping him from leveling up to that next kind of elite level, I think. Gabby Jesus up next. 17 appearances, 3 goals, 0 assists. He's not been at the races this season. A lot of those appearances are off the bench, granted. It's a shame because there's a player in there and we all know it, but it hasn't really been on show this season. Besides in December, where he really kind of kicked on, started doing really well, and then, this world is cruel. He picks up a bad injury. Gabby Jesus. Now, his interplay ability is good. His ability to dribble is good. His ability to shoot, again, isn't great. And it's a shame because there's something there. We know there's something, and that, I don't know if it's that Brazilian kind of flair, that wishful thinking maybe even from me. He's a very good player. On the ball, I like watching him. It's just that lack of end products, which at his age shouldn't really be the case. I'm positive about him. I really, really like him. He's a great player. Seems like a funny person. But when it comes to the football pitch, when it comes to scoring goals, and I don't know if he's playing off the left or the right or down the middle, which Arteta's kind of been rotating a bit more recently among those positions, he's just not really had that cutting edge this season, sadly. And this, I think, was a big season for him. If he was going to kick on this season, he'd really look good. Not been helped by injury. He's kind of been in and out, and it is what it is. But yeah, a bit of a frustrating season from him so far. I'm going to give him a 6. I wanted to give him a 5.5, but I think that's slightly harsh. But yeah, he's 5.56 kind of level. He's not the kind of player that's going to bring us division titles. He's just not quite there, sadly. Is he at the standard when he's playing well? Yes, but how often is that? That's a few games a season. I'm going to be honest, at the rate he's going, and it pains me to say him because I really like him, but I think we need to cut our losses at the end of the season with him, sadly. And yeah, I'm going to move on to his compatriot, Gabriel Martinelli. 22 appearances, 6 goals, 3 assists. Martinelli's a difficult one for me because, again, it's the same with Jesus. There's such a player in there. And I remember Ian Wright was saying a few years ago that once he starts scoring, he's going to have that season at some point where just everything he touches turns to goal. And I believe that. I just think this season he's been so... He's lost the Martinelli. He's lost the dribbling. He's lost directness. And he's frustrating the hell out of me now because he doesn't really like to run at the fullbacks. And I don't know if that's something that's coaching. It almost definitely is. But it's frustrating. It's really frustrating because that ability, that directness is what would get him these goals, that would get him the assists. And just running at the opponent. Like, let's be real, pace is his biggest attribute. And we haven't seen it that much this season. Is it the way that other teams set up against us? Arguably, yeah. But is it the way we set up as well? Absolutely. He's been limited by, I think, the system a little bit. And the result of which is his output is just fallen off. So yeah, absolutely a player in there. I have absolute confidence that we'll see that again. And yeah, again, speed of recovery is another one of our forwards that's picked up a fairly bad injury. So, yeah. By the end of the season, I want him to stay. But I think the next season for him is gigantic. I'm going to give him a 6.5 because I do think... No, I'm going to give him a 6 because I think he's been good. I think he's been strong, but lacking in certain areas which... In other ways, you'd like to see him be better. You'd like to see him improve, really kick on, and he just hasn't done. Again, a bit like Gabby. He's slightly younger though, so I'm going to give him more time. And I think this season he's just been slightly better than average. So yeah, 6 is fair, I think. Leo Trossard, 24 appearances, 4 goals, 4 assists. Again, just another one of our forwards who's been okay. I don't know what it is about Leo Trossard. I really don't. There's something about him, like his stop-start ability is good, his technical ability is good. But again, it's just his ability to shape up the fullback. He isn't doing that at all. Saka does it on the other side, and none of our left wingers seem to be able to run with the ball and dribble. And I know that sounds really harsh, and obviously they're professional sports people. A lot of respect for that. I'm not going to rinse them. But in terms of that dribbling, he's lost it. That directness we saw at Brighton. Even the directness we saw of him last season. Him and Nelly have really just stopped. And I don't know why. It's got to be a coaching thing. But it's frustrating. And I think we're getting less out of him as a result. I thought at one point he was the best finisher at the club. We haven't seen that this season. We really haven't. And yeah, potentially we'll see him at centre forward now, I guess, because all the injuries have picked up. But yeah, man, I can't give him higher than a 6. He's in that same category as Martinelli and Jesus, maybe slightly better than both of them. But again, just slightly disappointing this season with his output. And just the way generally he's been playing has been a little bit frustrating, really. A lot of respect for the goal against Tottenham and all that stuff. He's been good. He's just not been great. He's not been anything above just good. And at the level we're pushing out, we're pushing for division titles. That extra kind of bit of punch, that extra bit of end product would really help us out in games. And he's just been a little bit flat, I think. And I don't know if it's an age thing. I don't know if it's just a system thing. I really can't tell you. But he's missing something. He's missing that je ne sais quoi that he had at one point, you know? Which is a shame. So yeah, Trossard a 6. Raheem Sterling a 5.5 off the bat. Now, Raheem is a frustrating one. Because I thought he was going to kick on and do brilliant for us. North London boy, playing North. Like, what could, possibly... That sounds like a match made in heaven, I have faith in him that he's going to do well. He's going to have that moment, whether it's Champions League, or something. He's only got 1 assist this season. 9 appearances, and I think all of them have been off the bench. No, he got hooks. Yeah, against Brighton, he got hooked. Bournemouth, he got hooked. After Saliba got the red card. He's... Again, there's a player in there. It's the same with Jesus, Nelly, and Trossard. There's such a player in there. There is. We know it. We've seen it in years gone by. I don't know. I'm confident with him. I like watching him play, but it's almost like he's trying too hard. And again, that's never something I'm going to knock. All these players, all the forwards that I've criticised, they try their socks off. That is one thing I'm never going to criticise him for, is lack of trying. It's that end product. Again, it's not good enough. He does the similar thing that with Nwaneri, where he runs into people and loses the ball. But he's nearly 30. I mean, sorry. Excuse me. It's that thing that is frustrating. Is he a good player? Undoubtedly. Is there more to come from him? There better be, because we need forwards right now. We need him to step up. Raheem Sterling, 5.5, and I'm sorry. But again, I have faith that you can turn that around, especially with a good run of games, which we'll probably get now. I think we're about to see something special, or I'm hoping we're about to see something special. So yeah, that wraps up all the players. Now it's just the manager, Mikel Arteta. Ah, man. Mikel Arteta. I think he set us up more defensively because the way European football is going, defensive football was the core, and I think we've set up nicely defensively. But whenever we concede these stupid goals from lack of concentration, we don't really have the forwards to score goals. And I know we kind of switch on more. We play with more tempo when we concede generally. You know, all that kind of good stuff. We saw it against City. We saw it against Girona. We probably saw it. Well, no, we did see it against Newcastle, even though we lost that game, even though it's Carabao Cup, so we'll speak about that. But yeah, it's just... it's a little bit frustrating. And I've used the word frustrating a lot today because that's the way I feel about this football club as of current, because I think... I don't want to be entitled. I think we probably should be top this season. And the reason we aren't is due to just stupidity when it comes to individual errors and stupidity when it comes to kind of, I guess, naiveness, tactically. Also, just our forwards have not been firing. So when our defense is doing, you know, the dog work, the leg work, and, you know, our forwards are just missing for fun, it's obvious why they're frustrated. So yeah, anyway, that's that. Football... put the ball in the net, stop it going into yours. We've been fairly successful this season, and yeah, that's my ratings. If I was competent, I would have written all the ratings down. So it was goalkeeper David Raya, I gave him a 9. Saliba, I gave an 8. Tierney, I gave a 5. Wyatt, I gave a 7.5. Magalhaes, I gave a 9. Timber, I gave a 7. Kivior, I gave a 5.5 or 6. Tommy, I gave a 5. Zinchenko, I gave a 6. Calafiori, I gave a 7. He shall not be named, I gave a 6.5. Erdegaard, I gave a 7.5, I think. Jorginho, I gave a 7. Declan Rice, I gave an 8. Skelly, 7. Nwaneri, 7. Marino, 7. Saka, 8.5. Kai Havertz, 8. Jesus, 6, 6, 6, and a 5.5 for Sterling. Yeah. If I got that wrong, don't crucify me. If you're still watching, thank you. And yeah, see you. Bye-bye.